Hello, hello, hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi there. So yeah, I'm not gonna play that whole thing every time. Probably, maybe I don't know. It's gives every. I heard that it takes a minute for the stream to start for some people. So if we just start talking, then some people get like the third sentence or something. This gives everybody a time to get in. But yes, there's my new theme song, everyone. But we'll get to that later. We're here to talk about a hilarious episode of House of the Dragon up until the last 20 minutes. It really was just high comedy, and then of course horror at the end. But wow, yes, I was laughing so hard through the beginning of the episode. They were really setting us up bad. So wow, everyone, hi. This is the after show, and we will grieve appropriately. There's just a lot going on here with this, but to my left is Grey Waste Tim of the Grey Waste Tim YouTube channel, and Girl Nettles of the Girl Nettles YouTube channel. So I will just get you started with what was your first take of instant reaction to having just watched it. Again, we're all unspoiled. There's no screeners here, no early. We just watched it for the first time like y'all. So we'll be doing lots of live chats and polls. But yeah, Nettles first, ladies first. First reaction. Oh my God.
Satisfied, to quote the musical Hamilton. It was like just a proper meal. The salad, the hors d'oeuvre, the main course, and then the dessert. It was everything that I wanted. I like that it felt like a continuation from season one. Like we just
Happy birthday, Nettles, from the chat, by the way, just real
Yes,
quick.
thank you everyone saying happy birthday to me. It's my birthday. What a great gift. It's been an amazing day. But yeah, it was a very satisfying birthday gift. So I don't have many complaints. That's just my take, and we'll obviously get more into it. But I would can I give a rating so early and ask you
Sure,
guys to do?
absolutely.
I would give it an 8.6 out of 10.
Okay, well, that's pretty solid. I think that's probably where I come down. I got a couple, maybe like a 9.1. There's a couple nitpicks. Awfully empty red keep, no guards anywhere. Allison and Kristen doing it behind an unlocked door. That's a little mysterious.
Every door was unlocked. There was no locks in that
No
whole castle.
guards anywhere.
The rat catchers are in the royal chambers with a big light. Big light.
Shout out to Phoenix on Fire in the chat, by the way. And super chats. By the way, if I don't catch them, we have a way of going back and catching it. So do not panic if it goes by real quick. We will stop periodically and just go through the ones that have accumulated. But yes, not as powerful as in the book. I would probably agree with that, actually.
Uh-oh.
The
Save
making
it for the hot take.
Yeah, well, just the choosing between the sons was the darkest part of that kind of, and
Yeah.
they missed that. Where's Maylor? But Tim, instant reaction.
Yeah, well, first of all, yeah, happy birthday, Girl Nettles, and also happy Father's Day to all the human daddies and pet daddies out there. Hopefully, your day did not take that total shift that this episode did at the end. Yeah, that was it's different. It's different from the book, but I guess I can tell people want it more. They feel like the blood and cheese was rushed. That was what I was seeing in the chat before we went live, and I understand like that. But I also understand the showrunners maybe not wanting to dedicate like the majority of the episode to child murder. So I can see both sides of the argument on whether or not the blood and cheese thing was rushed, but the fact that they went there on the first episode is enough for me. Like, I still have goosebumps about it.
I
Yeah.
think that the pacing was fine. I would be curious to see what the reaction was of somebody that hadn't read Fire and Blood, and didn't have any expectations other than they've heard that blood and cheese is some horrible thing that's going to happen. But yes, they did. They didn't show the head. They didn't show. We heard the sound. Obviously, the sound was terrible. But it's a kid, so
And they found the cutest kid in the world.
They
to
did.
play this part.
They
They did. And they set it up, obviously, the whole beginning of the episode, every time the kid is in the scene, you'd realize what they're doing, setting him up. Oh, this is the king's heir. He really loves him. You know, it'd be a shame if something.
But
Yeah.
well, when he was messing around with Tylen at that table, I was like, "Bye, Jaharis." I'm like, "You could go," because that was so annoying. I was like, "Okay, you're making it hard to feel."
And I do want to be clear. I'm good with the choice not to show any more than they did. I'm not. I don't want somebody to quote me like Dave Lightbringer said they should have showed the baby's head. No, that's not what I'm saying. I think if anything, it lacked a little bit of punch because the lack of the choice. They made Helena choose between, and also Allison was in the room gagged and watching the whole thing go down.
Yes.
But there's a reason why they did the substitution where instead she is sleeping with Kristen, because they're setting up, and this is the theme of the episode, you know, basically duty versus desire, which could be desire for vengeance or desire for obviously, you know, some outlet of pleasure or whatever. But yeah, it was.
Okay, but Kristen is one man. Where was the other guards?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
So a lot of open doors and empty rooms to be protecting a royal family.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point. Let's just acknowledge that there should have been guards. It's expediency of storytelling on television is the answer. If they put guards, then they got to stop and ask, you know, why, where, you know, did they chase them down, or I don't know. They just did what they did, but it was. Let's acknowledge there should have been some more people. Maybe it's 2 a.m., but there should be guards at every corner of the hallway or something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Perspective-wise, with the blood and cheese thing, I think we're going to be hearing like arguments from all different sides, where you're going to have the people who are saying, "Oh, they're whitewashing Rhaenyra and they're trying to make her seem less terrible, and that's why we didn't get blood and cheese being as sadistic as they were in the book." But then there's also the fact, like, well, remember the book is written by a maester who are misogynist, so maybe the book was actually the fable all along, and they were trying to make Rhaenyra look to be worse than she really is. So I think we're gonna have like I can already see the toxic discourse.
Yeah, well, absolutely. The people that just sort of do the one-step thinking will do that. I'll go ahead and rebut that. Why did Daemon have a free hand to do this? Because Rhaenyra was absent. Daemon indicted her earlier. He said the mother is grieving and the queen is shirking her duty or something like that. Yeah, and it's one of those harsh truths. It's like kind of messed up, but kind of true. And then when she came home, she came to the meeting, and instead of running the meeting, she's like, "I want Aemond," and then went to the chamber. So it's like she's got to know, like, if you just say what you want around someone like Daemon, who knows what could happen. She didn't manage that situation at all. And so now look what happened. So she's still culpable. She's the queen. She's always culpable. It always, you know, flows back uphill with the responsibility. Go ahead.
Why did Daemon say for them to get Aemond?
Why did Daemon say what?
Weird? Why did Daemon tell Blood and Cheese to go for Aemond?
Because that's what Rhaenyra wanted.
Yeah, that's what Rhaenyra said.
Why wouldn't if Daemon's right there, why wouldn't Daemon just go in there and get him?
Because then he'll be caught and he'd have to escape from the castle and do the whole. He doesn't want to do that.
It was weird. I felt like that was weird. And then they like didn't do his orders. They like went on a different mission. Like I think they should have just left it with Daemon just saying, "Get Jaharis," or I guess I
thought this made more sense, because why would they send an assassin to kill the Aegon's children when it was Aemond who killed Luke? It makes more sense they would be going after Aemond, but then somehow it ends up being the kids. And I also thought it made sense with the assassins. They're like, it'd be easier to kill this kid than fight Aemond Targaryen in the hallway. Let's just go ahead and go with that. Like this all.
But that's not the mission. That's so I don't know.
I think
but he's a rat catcher. He's not a faceless man.
Yeah.
You know?
I think they were trying to make it another air for a day moment of did he say it or did he not say it? Because Daemon tells him, go get Aemond. And when they ask, well, what if we can't find him? Daemon just sort of gives him a look, and then the scene changes. So it's like we're leaving it very ambiguous as did he tell them, well, then go get another kid, or what? We don't know what he said afterward.
Yeah. I thought that was a bit of a cop-out not to show us what he said next.
Mm-hmm. It said it's
Yeah.
air for a day all over again. They're just leaving it completely ambiguous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But let me grab these super chats real quick. Well, the only thing I didn't like was the lack of choosing between the kids. The rest of it I thought was good. Aegon is competing for best character. Lady Lil says, 1 second. Tom Glencarny is stellar. Yep, we knew it. That's these. There's a lot. There's several good scenes with Tom. Some really funny stuff. And then let me pop out here. Oh, we got this one. Yeah, return to form with going horror early on in the series. Tim, let's see here. So let's go. What's that, Nettles?
The chat is telling me that I guess I missed this is because I heard him just say amen, and then they said, well, what if we can't find him? And then it was implied that Daemon said his son for his son. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, I guess that's fine. But still, it's just so weird to me because I was watching with my husband and he hasn't read the books. He didn't even finish season 1 of House of the Dragon. And he looked at me and he was like, why doesn't he do it? Because he saw that Daemon is like this suave. He got the sword. He has the dragon. He's like, so you went and found like this scrawny rat catcher? Like if Daemon and Aemon are maybe tied for 2 of the best swordsmen in Westeros, because tell me who's better than them. Like, Daemon is his equal. Why are you sending this scrawny rat catcher, this random
Because
guy?
if he goes into the castle, then he's going to get caught. Even if he wins the duel, he's going to be surrounded by guards by the time he kills him, and then he's going to be caught. What does it cost him to send some assassins in? Even if they don't succeed, it's like, whatever. It's just, something you can try.
They were expendable. That's the whole point.
It was weird. It was weird for me.
And Cheese knew Maegor's ways too. Daemon didn't, apparently.
Yeah, but Daemon could have went with Cheese the same way he sent Blood with Cheese. Like here's this guy. He's gonna follow you. Like that guy could.
He doesn't want to put himself at risk though.
For honor's sake, and as Daemon has been showing us, I have his ego at the Stepstones.
I'll
go in by myself. How is this the same Daemon who was going in by himself? Like on a suicide mission.
He did that because he needed the. Sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, that's it.
I'm just saying he did that. Well, the Stepstones mission. He did that because he needed to be the one that won. That's why he was angry that Viserys was coming to help him, because he wanted to be the one to get the glory, and so he went and did it solo to get the glory. That's not the case here.
That even his solo one-man army mission wasn't honor either, because he was waving a white flag right before he did it, and he yielded the sword, and then he just gripped it. He pulled a Dornish move in that scene, so Daemon has no honor.
Yeah, Daemon doesn't have honor.
Honor. Daemon just wants results. He doesn't care how crappy the means are.
Okay. It's just over and over, it's implied that he's like, I have to be the one to go after Aemon. I have to be the one to take him on.
No, it's not. Where was that implied?
It's not implied at all. Daemon wants results.
So what's them doing this love dance back and forth, and around between Harrenhal and the God's Eye, like just going around the Riverlands, just them two, like having the show.
That's all stuff that has you're way ahead of the game here. We're not doing spoilers in the future and all that.
Yeah, it's more than confirming a hit. He wants them to confirm bodies, okay? That's all he wants.
So let's move on. Let me get a couple of these super chats. Before they recognized Vhagar in King's Landing, I thought it would be Daeron and Tessarion's first appearance. What do you guys think about that? No idea what's going on with that. Daeron doesn't really affect the story until a battle that's not going to happen this season. So there's not really any reason to show him. I expect they will talk about him. That is what I think. And then it's based on book of 3 different narrators. A son for a son could have been Aemond. He also was a second son. Yeah, I thought that the way that they played it was pretty believable. And then we got those ones. Okay. So yeah, Laenor is not Alan of Hull. Yep, I never thought that was going to happen. I mean, we knew that Alan was cast, so that I never understood why people thought that was going to be a thing. Sarah Snow, by the by, Prophecy of Ice and Fire, not discussed in the North.
Mm-mm.
I
I did
was
like
so happy. No, you go ahead, Tim.
well the little we saw of Cregan. I did like I mean, I know they said that the actor was studying Ned, yet at the same time, he's the way he is at the wall, the way he talks about it. It seems like he knows something. Something like we always talked about how whenever we hear the North remember, and we as readers and watchers are always like, no, the North forgets. The North forgets something important. Cregan Stark gives that vibe of someone who still remembers of what was so important to Torrhen Stark and why he knelt. Like he still has that like this is the Stark of the old gods vibe that he is giving off. And it seems like the wall hasn't been completely written off the way it was when we get to our more modern day story.
So the wall was incredible. The way it looked. I hope we go back there because they created a really nice CGI wall. The elevator was sick. I thought Cregan was cool. I dug it. Some people didn't like his performance. I heard in the early reviews. I thought he was cool. I like that he was a Stark that actually believes in the White Walkers and is conscious of it, as opposed to Ned, who's kind of like, yeah, whatever, snarks and grumpkins. So I appreciated that. He's carrying ice around. I really liked all of that. What did you think of Cregan, Nettles?
Yeah, I mean, this was like the first thing I wrote in my when I was taking notes is they started in the north like I told them to. Like so I was happy that they started the show off like just, showing us something other than the freaking Red Keep. Um but yeah, it was such a great opening, his little monologue, and even like seeing that they had to cast lots, like what is it, one out of every 10 men has to go, to the north. So it's like more of like kind of would you call it a lottery or tribute? I don't know. It seems more like a tribute, but just his speaking voice, his presence, everything, and then they just cut it so short. I was like, oh no. Well, we'll see. Maybe there'll be flashbacks.
Yeah, that lottery thing was totally new, and I thought that was really, really cool. We've never heard of that, but this is the kind of thing where we're filling in cultural detail and stuff. And guys,
Yeah.
forgive me for making this change here on the fly, but the chat was just moving too fast, and so I feel like I want to give that priority. Next week, what I'll do is I'll have these questions spaced out horizontally. I just have them on a Google Doc. So I'll just scroll through them as we answer them, and in the future,
Oh
I'll
yeah,
have them
this is
displayed.
better. This is
Yeah,
better.
I wanted to do this earlier today, but I might have spent several hours making the funky song. Okay, it's all confessions. But let's dive into some of these things here so we can get some order to this. So let's do scene of the week. That's probably a great place to start. Tim, soft-spoken Tim, next to a couple of Spitfires here. Scene of the week, Tim.
The return of the coal pole. The fact that that while this was going down, that Allison was riding the coal pole. Now in the book, we don't. We don't get to meet Lady Jane Eyre. We just hear her in passing. In the book, it said that she demands that Jace pleasure her with his mouth, and we don't see that, but we do see that with Kristen Cole and Allison. So the fact that that Kristen Cole is hopping around and just it just goes to show the hypocrisy of him of like, well, I guess you don't mind dirtying that cloak too much if you're having these nights with the Queen Regent.
So this was some of the unintentional comedy I was talking about. Like, first of all, he's servicing her, dude, total duty first. Like, and then she's like, "We can't do this," and it's like, "What are you talking about, Allison? Like, you just had him. She never even took her dress off, and it's like, we can't do this." And he's like, "Okay, put my cloak back on." It was funny because Kristen is like, he's old hand at this, he's casual. And he knows that Allison, they're going to do it again. And they did it again. And then, of course, all the symbolism from Rhaenyra and Kristen Cole's, time together is now flipped. So it's like, he puts his armor back on a lot faster now. And it's not the slow, tedious thing. And he's like, "Hey, cloak, come on." And it's like, Allison is the one who protected him with that cloak to begin with when he killed help me out. When
Joffrey.
in cold blood, Joffrey Lonmouth, they didn't show it, but presumably the reason why he wasn't punished is because Alicent took him under her wing, and then we see him, serving her loyally, which we now know goes a little deeper. Yeah, so
Phrasing.
It goes a little deeper.
hey,
I just want to say that I was right. Please go back and watch last year I said that these people were porking. Everyone said no, because Allison is a Madonna figure to Cole, and Cole will never.
Well, let me
give
see
those
the Nettles
orders.
emojis then. I remember you said that. Yep.
I said, yes, they are. Because Allison looked at that man in season 1 and said, for everything you feel for me as your queen. I was like, hold on. I was like, wait a minute. Who talks like this? She's like, everything you feel for me as your queen, go and get Aegon. I was like, oh, okay. So they've been porking for quite some time. And I was right.
Look at these emojis. Look at this. See, this is what I was hoping for. I created the different emojis so the chat could show their support for whoever they think is right when we get into the discussions. The point of us disagreeing is so that different opinions are represented. That's the point. There's difference of opinion in the chat. There's difference of opinion on the screen, and we're all having fun talking about
I don't
the
even
Dragon
believe
Show.
in disagreeing. I believe in you just offering a different perspective, and different doesn't mean that bad and good. It just means,
Even
another
better.
thing, another thought bubble.
Especially on a first take, certain things jump out to you at first and you don't see the other angle because you're absorbing the one angle. And then on the rewatch or further thought, you're like, oh, I see this other side of it too. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Why are there Beavis heads? Somebody's Beavis. Somebody's being a butthead, I guess. I should have put butthead in there. Okay, so scene of the week. Girl Nettles.
I like the scene. It's very short of Rhaenyra, where you see like smoke on her face, tear streaked, and she's looking at Storm's End. This is before she finds the wing, and she's looking at it like, "Am I gonna burn it?" It reminded me of Daenerys, like looking at the Red Keep, like, "Am I gonna burn it? Like, what's going on?" And Rhaenyra doesn't. She doesn't burn it. She doesn't go in there and say, what happened? She doesn't go in there. She doesn't do anything. And like, that's why even from the text, I've loved Rhaenyra for what she doesn't do. And people blame her for, I guess, the things that she does do. But there's so many moments where she holds back. And like, I give people credit for that. When you have the power to do something bad and you don't do it, like, that gives you marks in my book.
I really liked the beach scene. Rhaenyra really portrayed the grief. They built it up with a couple of scenes, and then by the time she's finding the wing, and then the claw, like the wing is already sad, the dragon is making sad sounds, and then you see the cloth, and you're like, oh God, and it's like, okay, it's real for her now, and then the dragon gives a cry, like definitely like not crying at all, and then the one that really got me was with Jace and Rhaenyra when Jace came home, and he's trying to tell her, okay, I did my duty, but he's like, you can hear the voice breaking, very good acting, and she's coming to him to give him a hug, and it's like, damn, all those three scenes working together, like, you really felt the sorrow, and that was that's one casualty, that's one family member who has died. More will die, folks. There's more coming. More dead dragons and more dead family members. That is the show that we're watching together. Tim, what did you think of Emma's acting and the beach scene?
Yeah, that was pulling on the heartstrings. Like, she really pulled off the grief, especially like when we get there and we see like, the single dragon wing, and then she like pulls off the netting after the fishermen have hauled it in, and she finds just that fragment of his cloak, and that's like all she has, and probably all she's ever going to find, because everything else is in Vagar's gullet right now.
Yeah, I'm interesting that they went, some of the stuff they showed in the I don't know if you both, Tim, sounds like you didn't, but Nettles, I don't know if you watched the recap, but they showed the chomp. And they also showed Mysaria and Otto's conversation, and Otto making promises, and then Mysaria's house getting firebombed, which sort of highlights what I was saying, that that's going to be, we're supposed to understand, like, my sorry is broken from them. And we see that conversation and we see this happen. So yeah, this is,
You said that yesterday.
I did. And I think I said it before too. And then the other thing that I was right about was Team Green is a mess. I made the video, Team Green is a mess. And I said, look, everybody's going to be trying to get Aegon's ear. Laurie's, Otto, Allison, Aemond, Kristen. And that is exactly what we saw. And he's got his own little drunken lackeys. And my brother will take Rhaegar and go burn it when I want to. Like, another great scene. So, anyways, yeah. Scene of the week. I was gonna say the Cregan Emma scene, but we already talked about that. So I would say it was like all the little Otto scenes where he's kind of getting owned, but not. And like, I was just laughing so hard at the beginning, the first half hour of the episode with Otto. Well, no, I got to pick a scene. Let me drill down here. Which is okay. So it was the moment when Aegon's on the throne and he's reminding us of Daenerys. He's holding court. He's hearing about sheep and stuff. Reminds us of Dany when the sheep herder was like, oh, Drogon, burnt my sheep. And then one of them, oh, she burnt my daughter. So Aegon is holding court and we see he wants to please everyone. And he's not thinking, this is some really good dialogue with Otto. Well, you can't just do that. You got to do that for everyone. The best moment was when he's talking to the blacksmith and he says, yeah, we got to pay the blacksmith. And Otto was walking up to the throne to do his thing. And Aegon says something more demonstrative. And so Otto just kind of turns around and walks right back down the stairs without saying anything. So he walks halfway up and then walks down. It's just like, and yeah. I just died. So it was really all of the Otto Aegon scenes, but that was the one I will pick.
Yeah, and anytime we got a new named character, I had to take note of that. So when that blacksmith come forward, Hugh, and I'm like, okay, Hugh, got to remember that that's Hugh going forward. Same thing when we got Alan. I'm like, okay, that one's Alan.
Okay, so that was Hugh the Hammer. I was wondering if that was.
Yeah, it has to be the Hammer.
When Aegon asks his name, he says, Hugh, your grace.
Wait, isn't Alan 9 years old though? I was like, okay, this is.
No, this is be flexible. Hey, that man is not 9. We got some gifted memberships. Thank you. So here's what we're gonna do with the super chats. When we're finished going through each round of questions, I will then catch up. We'll answer the super chats, and then we'll do the next round. And we will also do the fan poll once we have the answers. So we will give you guys the choice of our 3 picks or something else. And if you pick something else, then shout it out in the chat and we'll read some of those off. So you can vote for Rhaenyra on the beach, the coal pole, or Otto and Aegon.
I gotta copyright that or something, the coal pole.
Well, it sounds like a good t-shirt, doesn't it? If done right. Maybe
Put
get your first t-shirt. Get your own bonfire store. By the way, we have a bonfire store below. You can get Nana Vhagar shirt, reading Rhaegar, a couple other things.
I'm voting for Tim's.
The poll is being created. I can hear it being typed in the background. I am joined in the flesh by Maynard James Plumraven. He's not an imaginary friend. Not all my friends are me wearing a wig, okay?
Prove it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, shout out to Thailand. Quit interrupting the meeting, Thailand. I loved that. Allison talking about Thailand's interruptions because like we can't blame it on the kid because that'll make Aegon mad. So we've got to blame Thailand for interrupting the meeting.
I love children, but that was annoying.
Oh, I just was, again, just from the get-go, every scene just had me in stitches. Like nobody in the scene was laughing, but I was laughing.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like what they did with the moments of Aegon like trying to be a good dad, at least coming across as a good dad, even though he's such a POS in
Well, no.
reality.
Let's differentiate between caring and being a good parent, because it's not good parenting when mom says don't interrupt him in his lessons and he's like, "Okay, where are they?" and then goes and interrupts. Like,
And then goes interrupts him. Yeah.
this is not co-parenting here. Okay, this is so yeah. What we know that he cares at least.
Yeah. And it's evident that it's been a drastic switch. Obviously, he didn't know where the lessons were before, didn't care. How many kids does he have? Maybe a dozen. But he's choosing to care about these, which is good. At least care about some of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, we've seen one or two in King's Land or Flea Bottom for sure. So we've got Rhaenyra on the beach, beach, whatever. There was a dragon beak there. And look, we'll go easy on Maynard Plum. I'm a whore. If you watch me type, it's murder. So you don't want that. So Rhaenyra on the beach is winning 42. That's like a drink. It's like sex on the beach. It's Rhaenyra on the beach, who also on the beach with Damon did. Okay, so performed the drink title. The Cole poll, parentheses Cole poll. Love how I put it in parentheses. 15%. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah.
Otto and Aegon 24. So what do we got for the other, folks? What do we got for the other? What else do we like? Blood and cheese was mentioned, of course.
Yeah.
Do we think Mailer's already born? Maybe that's what's going to happen, is that Mailer will be born subsequently. We'll have to see. That just gets into future talk, so there's not really a lot to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhaenyra and Jace. Yeah, a lot of... Yeah, Rhaenyra and Jace. Rhaenyra on the beach, the funeral. I mean, there's just... Yeah, we were moved emotionally, there's no doubt. I want Aemon Targaryen. How about that line right there?
I want Aemon. That was a good line. Good acting. But, yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like, it just shows you how these leaders are kind of damned if they do and damned if they don't. Rhaenyra's using restraint, like you said, and then she finally gets like, okay, I want Aemon. But then it goes awry because she doesn't micromanage she doesn't manage at all the planning. She just says it and walks away and leaves Daemon to figure out how that's supposed to happen. And so that's what we got.
Yeah.
But this isn't Daemon's wheelhouse. She's not asking, Sam Tarly to do this. She's asking someone who... This should be easy for Daemon. That's why I'm like... Daemon could have walked up to the castle and said, Aemon, one-on-one, me and you. Man versus man, dragon versus
dragon. Come on,
like,
why do you keep saying that? It's not realistic.
Because...
That doesn't end the war either.
Weird. I'm just saying, it's just weird. It's either he did it weakly to mess it up on purpose, or I don't know. He's changed. I'll have to see the rest of it. I have to see everything to make a true decision. But
I gotta say, I just don't understand where you're coming from on that one. That's just not a realistic plan. Plus, he's a dragon rider. He can't go like that. Would be the most foolish thing in the world for him to sacrifice himself when he's Rhaenyra's chief general and her top dragon rider. Like, he just can't do that. This was a no-risk thing, except for that it's now going to sully Rhaenyra's reputation, which we heard Rhaenyra chastising him for in the preview of the next episode, predictably. Some votes for the Cregan. You said Cregan? For the Cregan scene in other. But yeah, definitely Rhaenyra on the beach. So congratulations to Girl Nettles for putting your finger on the pulse of the fandom with the pick. So let's catch up on the super chats here. HBO ruined Blood and Cheese. Helena not offering her life for her child was flat out unmotherly. They gave the focus to Alicent writing Cowgirl. Thanks. Condole. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's a take. I don't know why. I can't really say why they didn't, or why she didn't scream out. I guess we're supposed to read like her being in sort of shock about what's going on, or I mean,
someone in the chat said that it was an autism thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the way that she is portrayed with her gift of prophecy is obviously drawn from somebody dealing with ASD or whatever. So that's the right abbreviation, right?
I'm not sure.
Well,
But
they're changing the names for all this stuff, but yeah, it's definitely people have noticed that. So that's what I was
so do you
saying.
think
She just wasn't able to speak or something in that moment, and then when she finally did speak, it was like they killed the boy. So it's
do you guys think she knew that this was coming in the same way that like Cersei knew all her kids were gonna die?
well, she was seeing rats, so she had some
But
premonition,
she said she
obviously.
was
Yeah,
scared of rats.
yeah. That was pretty. I won't say funny, but like she's like all the rats, and she's looking around, and all the other people are looking around, like, okay.
But there are a lot of rats.
There are. We've seen them. That's true. Okay, so what's up with Cyrax not growing? I don't know. We've already been making jokes about it. No answer. Worst part of the episode was them kicking the dog. They're just establishing somebody's low character. When someone's cruel to animals, it's, they're the kind to kill a child. So, did Cregan say Aegon and Torrhen met at the wall? They did. They did, Eldrick Stoneskin. And shout out to Eldrick Stoneskin, who has a cool YouTube channel. They did. Although the monologue was sort of passing from Winterfell to the wall. I'd have to watch that again. But I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I appreciated the shout outs though to Jaehaerys and Alysanne at the wall, and the fact that their dragons wouldn't cross. I thought that was really cool and well done. Welcome to Squisher, Queen of Troy. A lot of the Blooded Cheese stuff has to do with filming. Imagine what we read when Tyrion killed Tywin in the book. It was the Tower of the Hand. What do you mean it had to do with filming? Yeah, logistics, I guess, yeah. Skull of Meraxes at Dragonstone. There was a dragon's skull on an altar, just like Balerion, at Dragonstone. And I'm not sure whose skull. I mean, we're just guessing. But yeah, it could be. By the time the modern story happens, we know, like, Aerys had him on the walls, and then Robert put him down,
Right.
downstairs. But yeah, who knows? It could have been one of Aegon's dragons that he brought from Valyria that died before the conquest, for all we know. That'd probably make the most sense. Before they recognized Vhagar in King's Landing, I thought, okay, we were caught up then. Very good. So, live chat. All chats are visible. They show this auto-generated summary every time, and there's nothing I can do about it. There are also discussions about the morality of kicking a dog the size of dragons and the significance of the Stark music. They crossed wires there. The Stark music.
Wow.
That was my music. Hightower music, damn it. Which, hold on a second. Let me point something out. So, the theme song that you heard at the beginning was the Dracarys theme. Dun, dun, dun. When she burns the slavers? That's what it is. So when you listen to it again, I'll play it at like the end of the episode or something. Listen for it. You'll hear it. It's the same chord changes and stuff. But Ramin's doing it in 5, not 3. It's in 5. And there's like 7 bars of 5. And then it's weird. So I made it like 4/4. 4 to the floor, baby. But yeah, that's the Dracarys theme. So what I was saying is, don't think I'm on Team Green just because I'm all about the Hightower. Because if you think about it, I'm playing the Dracarys theme and showing the Hightower, which implies that it could be set on fire by a dragon. So, just saying. Anyway, I need to go get Cleo because she is screaming. So let me turn it over to the next question, and it will go Grey Waste Tim first. What surprised you the most? And I will be back in 30 seconds with the pink bird.
What surprised me the most was seeing, because I'm not sure how to say it without spoiling, but when we first meet Alan, when Corlys gets to the docks, and we first see Alan, and this is nothing against the actor portraying Alan, but he looks older than Laenor, so that kind of leaves. I'm wondering if they're gonna just scrap the whole ambiguity of who Alan and his brother are, and just have it be like, okay, these are Corlys's kids. because of how old, like if when you have the actors and they look older than Lenore, then it kind of like it's without an implied age. I'm just like, I just can't suspend my disbelief enough to pretend that he in any way could have fathered them. So I am surprised about that. It could be a cast. Like he could be. I mean, I'm sure he's a phenomenal actor. I know he was in Raised by Wolves, but looks old for the part that he's playing, I guess is what I'm saying.
So, I'm sorry. Maynard Plum is asking for an AI summary of what you just said. I think he missed something in there. This is advanced Fire and Blood stuff. So, Tim, what you were saying that they might be changing the storyline. You don't know if he'll even be.
Yeah, because so in the book,
who he secretly is in Fire and Blood, shall we say?
Yeah, in the book they leave it ambiguous, but here, considering how much older the actor looks compared to Lenore's actor, I don't see how they can play up that ambiguity.
Yes, I think the ambiguity is definitely gone. That is for sure. But again, it's like it was never really that plausible anyway. So it's just we're not spending time on that. The fact that we see... Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
I was saying it's like an open secret, just like the fact that Jace, Luke, and Joff are obviously bastards. I know the point is that it's an open secret, but still, it's like, yeah, well, with this, when the actor is this old, it just looks this much older. It's like, yeah, well, you can't even. Why even try to do that? It's
so
like,
here's what I'll say about it: the fact that we are meeting him so soon. Shows us that they're going to do something with the characters, and they've cast again heavyweight actor, at least comparatively versus some of the other people on the cast. He just did a high profile thing. I think we'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, you can see there's already a relationship between Corlys and this guy. It's almost like Corlys is looking for an excuse to promote him. When he's like, oh, I owe you a debt, don't I? Maybe I'll, promote you a little bit. So there's a history there. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm glad that we're meeting him already. Yeah. So you were surprised by Alan's appearance, let's say. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, he was. If they were going to go the book route, then he looks too old to be playing that part. So I think they're just going to skip the ambiguity. Maybe they'll make it out as like, this was before Corlys got married or whatever, when he was out sowing his wild oats back when he was the famous sea snake. Like,
that's what I think it's going to be. It's like, when he was younger or something. Because a lot of people have asked, like, cheating on Rhaenys, really? That takes some balls. That's like... Why would you? And that's also insane. She has a dragon. So, maybe if that's the way that they go, then it's before they met. Because he is older than Rhaenys by 20 years or so, at least in the book. Somebody in the chat with a good observation, Tio Gare, Corlys with the dagger he had for Luke. That was a nice touch. It did a couple things. It shows you the emotion that reminds us that just because the paternity is what it is, Corlys still has looked at Luke as his grandchild his whole life and feels the loss just like an adopted grandfather, a grandfather of their child adopted a kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's poignant for that reason, but it also like Alan saying, oh, I'm sorry about the death of your heir. It's like just reminds us about the whole awkwardness of the paternity lie and puts the spotlight on the fact that there is no heir now for Driftmark. Vaemond is not around either. So
the actor playing Alan, he was father in Raised by Wolves, correct?
Yes.
No. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks so different.
He put on some muscle then.
They had him in a very strange bodysuit in Raised by Wolves. True. I'm not sure if that has like a slimming effect, a sort of translucent aqua bodysuit. The actor said they hated those things. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I'm sure. But okay.
Amethyst Dice. Great question. They did not deal much with Aemond and how he played off the killing of Luke. I think we have to assume he took credit for it, but they did not really address that. People talked about the fact that he killed Luke, and Otto skillfully manipulating Aemond in that scene. Like, oh, well, everyone knows you're the baddest boy in the land. That's for sure. Everyone knows that now. Yeah. And, I'm going to confide in you secretly because we all know Aegon can't be controlled. So, he has no restraint. So, because Otto's trying to drive a wedge between Aegon and Aemond because he sees those two forming an alliance that he's not going to have any power over. And so there's so much divide and conquer and internal politics on Team Green. And then there's Larys talking to, your dad was a weak king. I don't know if you want to be a weak king, really. I mean, Otto was your dad's hand when you think about it, Mm-hmm. Maybe you want your own hand. Then replacing Alicent's bedmaids. We got to talk about Alicent. Oh, my God. How do we frame this? Like, what surprised us?
We can just talk about the bedmates.
Because when Larys says,
sorry, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, when Larys says, like, I found all those who betrayed us, like, they no longer breathe our air. And then she tells her, I've hand-selected your new staff personally. And then Alicent realizing, like, that's not a comfort. You hand-selecting them personally means that they are your spies. And that is why she, like, immediately dismisses them. So at least Alicent has the self-awareness to know that this is not good.
Yeah, this was another good scene of the week, Hawks for Life. That's a great call. So Alicent in this, I made a joke on Twitter already. Alicent's live, laugh, love is bathe, pray, sin. Okay? She bathes and she prays and then she sins some more and then she does it repeat again. We got to bathe some more. We got to pray. And she can't get the sin off no matter how much she lights candles and bathes. She's going to be doing it all season. It's just so striking with what's the scene we were just talking about with Larys? So like she bathes to like again as like a ritualistic way of purifying herself, but then she realizes the people bathing her are Larys' people, and it makes her feel like Larys is touching her. That's what's going on there. Like she's thinking about Larys as she's like, yeah, and she just like, get away from me, all of you. And you could feel Larys' presence in the room even though he's not there, and how suffocating that is. Nettles, do you want to comment? I just thought this was incredible.
No, I definitely agree with all of that. If we're gonna do like an Alicent segment.
Yeah, we're just doing it. We're just put the question on pause. We're just talking about Alicent.
I just, for me, I needed her to be porking Kristen Cole because it proves I needed her to be a hypocrite for this whole narrative, the book narrative in my head to like work. And so like they gave it to me. But then I started thinking about it on a deeper level because I automatically thought of Cersei, who is in the same position as Alicent and Cersei, talking about what a woman's weapon is. The strongest weapon is the one between your legs. And that even though Cersei and Alicent are so fundamentally different, they have to use that same weapon. And you could tell that Alicent in the beginning, when Alicent was 19, 20, she probably tried to fight it. She probably thought she was too good to do that. She probably heard about other ladies doing that, and she judged them for it and thought that would never be me. But lo and behold, this is you. Can
I just agree with you real quick and say that my experience with religious people confirms that this is always happening. Like anybody who is really gung-ho about the rules and performative moral stuff, they are always sinning behind closed doors. Like it's just nobody should be surprised by that. And then on the sexual end, like the Larys thing and the Viserys thing were so non-consensual, it's not surprising that she has found a safe place for her to be in control and comfortable. And that's with Kristen Cole, just like it was with Rhaenyra when she was younger, because he's the dutiful guy who owes you everything. And so, yeah, that was my take. Well, I'll give it back to you, Nettles. Sorry.
No, good. No, thank you. And then, so I put like Cersei, Marjorie, Olenna. They all like dealt in this coin. But Rhaenyra is, in my opinion, exempt from this list. And also Rhaenys, women who have dragons, they don't have to deal in that same currency that Alicent and Cersei have to deal with, because they have their own currency, which is a dragon, which is like, look, I have the same thing the men have, which is military prowess. So I can get you to respect me in a different way. I don't have to use what's between my legs. When Rhaenyra was having relations with Kristen Cole, that was a like, I want to feel good type of thing. It wasn't like, oh, and now you're going to be indebted to me and you're going to be on my side
Yeah,
on council.
he already
Like,
is. He already is. So,
but she does. But she didn't need that for him. What she needed was to feel pleasure, and that's why she did it.
yes.
Versus Alicent, where Larry's Moon Boy for all we know, we don't know who Alicent is owing favors to now in the Red Keep. So I think this is obviously part of the reason why Alicent hates Rhaenyra is because they're not even dealing in the same coin.
Yeah, they've been contrasting that power with the women who are obviously, you know, what am I trying to say? Running uphill versus the men in the society. It's like the women who have dragons, they have a different avenue for gaining agency. And so they've been contrasting Rhaenyra and Alicent that whole time. Tim, your thoughts on Alicent?
I was just going to say, well, also...
You can only say Cole Pole 3 times, Tim. Go ahead.
Damn it. You can't put
No,
a limit.
no, that's it. I've spoken.
No, it extends too far for you to put a limit on it. No, but I was going to remind her. But keep in mind, though, that night that Rhaenyra does spend with Kristen does come right after Daemon essentially blue-balled her when he left her or whatever the women equivalent of blue-balling is. So yeah,
well, and emotionally he left her feeling abandoned. Let's say that, and so now she felt very safe in her own chamber with her own knight again with Kristen. Like this has happened a lot. Like people sleeping, queens and princess sleeping with the king's guard. They're safe and they're strong and they're right there and they can't tell either. So
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
It's like the rich housewife and the pool boy, if you want to take it into modern terms.
Kristen, so Fabian should not pass go. He should go directly to General Hospital when he's done with this because I mean the guy is made for soap operas. I think.
Why is he always naked? I need to know why he is not in uniform. He's always wearing those horrible sacks of cloth. Like they just look horrible. I'm like. Jamie's writing about how he sleeps in armor, his white cloak. This guy is never.
You have to remember the first time we hear Kristen Cole's name, I think it's Jamie thinking about the most dishonorable, disgraced Kingsguard in history. So that is the character that we are building here. Let's just remind ourselves.
Yeah, in the books, the first time we hear Kristen Cole's name is in Eris Oakhart's Lone Chapter. That's the first time Kristen Cole's name is ever dropped. But yeah, so you're going with Alicent, and yeah, like just Larys too, because Chad was saying like Larys has a lot of Littlefinger vibes, and that's true. Like he's Master of Whispers, and his name rhymes with Varys, so your mind goes to that. But then the reality is like, no, he's got more of this Littlefinger vibe. Like let's sow a little chaos, let's do a little trolling. The way that he talks to Aegon, it's like they used to say your dad was pliable. You don't want to be pliable, do you? No, I don't want to be pliable. Well, Otto was your father's hand, like making him consider. But at the same time, it's like Aegon doesn't even realize like Larys is playing you the same way that Otto played your dad. So
I think that eventually he will. Like when everybody is always going, you know what you should do. By the time the 6th person does it, you go, okay, everybody shut up. And I think that moment is probably coming real soon when Aegon's just like telling a lot of people to shut up and get out of his face and then choosing whichever person gives him the plan that matches his need for obviously aggression and revenge. So that maybe Aemond, I'm thinking Aemond and Kristen are probably the ones. And again, I made a video about this. Who's in charge of Team Green? This is exactly what I said would happen. I guess we kind of know. I mean, it's not like, fire and blood doesn't exist. We kind of know what's going to happen. But specifically, I was saying, like, I'm not Nostradamus here, but I was just saying this is the dynamic we would see is everybody trying to, like, oh, I can tell Aegon what to do. He's not unsure of himself, He's looking for somebody to help him.
No,
so to steer this, go
that
ahead,
Aegon
Tim.
dies when this one sobers up and realizes what happened to his son.
So steering this back into the Alicent thought bubble, yesterday I said, like when we were making predictions, I said that I think Alicent might take a back seat now, like, and kind of like yield some of her power because she got her son on the throne, so now she can like take a breather, and now Aemond and Otto and Aegon, like now the men are gonna step in and kind of take more of a reign. Do you guys think that kind of happened in this episode? Like, do you guys see? I don't know. What do you guys think about Alicent? How she wielded power in episode 10 or episode 9, and this episode?
I think it's slipping away from her pretty bad. Her and Otto are in the same bucket. It's up to them to just persuade people with manipulation, mostly. And Alicent does have Kristen, so that's another avenue for power. Your thoughts, Tim, and then we will catch up on super chats. Go ahead.
Yeah, because that's one thing I want to comment on, because we haven't talked about the scene of Aemond and Kristen Cole by themselves and the memes of like I have a bad idea and I can make it worse. But when we see like just how two-faced everyone is truly being, like how you said, like Alicent's doing this whole like every accusation is a confession type thing. Well, the same thing is happening. Aemond doesn't realize that this is happening with Kristen Cole because he thinks that he has someone on board with him and Kristen. Remember, like Kristen Cole was the one who trained them when they were kids. He looks up to him. So when Aemond is talking to Kristen Cole and says, "Well, my mother speaks with two tongues," but then and Kristen's like giving his perspective, but at the same time, Kristen's keeping a secret of, well, your mother knows something else about tongues, but you can't say that. So it's like, yeah, the guy that Aemond is confiding in is now confiding in this. And
it's
this
a very tangled web, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, and the whole strong arm mentality soldiering on, and yet the guy you're confiding in is also banging your mom on the down low. So yeah, it's just like everyone.
Not that down low, I will say. Almost everybody suspects. Otto suspects when he saw them walk in. I think Aemond probably suspects just from the way that Cole is defending Alicent. What was that?
I was just about to ask Tim. Do you think Aemond knows?
That's the thing. I don't think Aemond knows. I think Aemon's probably like the only one who doesn't know. And Aegon might not know, but that's just because Aegon's not paying attention.
I think Otto definitely suspects strongly. I think Aemond might start suspecting, I guess. He's a little more, naive to it, perhaps. But a super chat from Dolorous Edgelord says, Kristen Cole and Alicent, they're not together. I think there's a little bit of a typo, but basically saying they're together as a way to be emotionally connected to Rhaenyra. It's like a weird love triangle cast-off thing.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff, some subtext going on there for sure. There's no doubt about that.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah. I'll leave
and
it up
Susie, go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say I'll put it up to chat if they think that Aemond knows, if they believe that Aemond suspects. Because for me, I think back to the flight. What name did they give the pig in the first season? The Pink Dread.
Pink Dread.
Okay. The Pink Dread. So back when Aegon was cool with his nephews and Aemond was the butt of the joke. When it comes to something like that, it's a joke that you're not in on. So that I feel like that has to happen to Aemond again, and that's why I feel like he probably doesn't know what's going on between Kristen Cole and his mom, and it's going to be such a slap in the face when he finds out the truth.
You're right. Yeah, he's going to react strongly when he finds out. You're right about that. Yeah.
Maybe another Pink Dread moment.
So let's real quick, let me see here. We've got the audience debates whether Aemond is aware of his mother's infidelity, while some believing he suspects. Oh, they got that one right. Yeah, I got a bunch of them. Okay, so I just want to see. So there's our poll. You guys vote in this poll. And we're gonna keep going through these super chats here. I do appreciate, by the way, supporting the program, which the proceeds splitting 3 ways. So you're supporting all of us. Checks in the mail, guys. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Let's see here. So, well, the fact that they're back here on season 2 tells you they got paid last time, right? So again, Susie, apologies if I skipped her first question. She is talking about Allison's handmaids being switched by Laurie's, giving her the ick, which we talked about. Also, Allison is 100% having a rebellious stage now with Kristen. Well, that's why I was trying to highlight when I was saying she didn't really have any agency in the other 2 sexual relationships that we saw her involved with. Viserys and the Laurie's thing. Okay? So that's why I say it makes sense. She would like find, and in a way, like, good for her. You know, discovering the joy of sitting back on a chair and having some service. Like, good for you. Of course, this is going to have consequences, so not good in that way. But yeah, Susie, I hope we discussed this in a way that made you feel like we're seeing this, the same way you are. But yeah, the handmaids being switched, like we said, it basically put Laurie's in the room with Allison. And it was palpable when she's like, yeah, don't touch me. It was like, okay, this is, shout out to Helena with the don't touch me. So Allison's even feeling some of that level of like sensorial rejection of what's going on around her in an extreme way, if you'll say. So thank you, Susie. Exhausting, wasn't it? Hiding behind the cloak of your own righteousness. Rhaenyra was right. Yeah, well, there's a lot of that going around, right? I saw a meme on Twitter about when Rhaenyra was sending Luke off. And she's like, oh, you have the blood of the Baratheons from your mother, Rhaenys. And Luke is like, what? Lol, what? So, it's going around. But yes, like we said, Alicent is doing performative morality. Love the way they're dressing her, very nun-like outfits at times. And she's always lighting candles and in the sept. It's performative morality. And like I said, there's always something behind door number 2 with folks like that. So if it's not sin, it could be a guilt from some past thing that feels like sin that they're trying to. People can have guilt over things that aren't strictly, I did something wrong. That gets into a whole can of worms of psychology. But yes, I think we're putting our finger on it. And let's see, worst part of the episode. Okay, so we are caught up, and there's a new one here. I've been watching tons of the old live streams. Thank you. Finally catching one live and thought it was well past time to become a squisher. Thank you, Will.
Oh, yay. Welcome, Will.
Eamon's blind in one eye. He can't see nothing. And does Otto remind you of Tywin? Oh, absolutely. Yes. The king is tired. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, I would guess that Rhys probably, looked at that performance for inspiration. It seems reminiscent.
I say wannabe Tywin. I don't see. I don't
know. I think he did some good manipulation in some of those scenes after taking some hits, And this is why he can't be counted out, even if he is dismissed as hand, which we know is going to happen because we've seen Kristen with the hand pin on other scenes. He's still a skillful forked tongue manipulator, and so until he's dead, he'll be pulling strings. We'll see how it goes. But
yeah, he could be good at his job, but that doesn't make him Tywin. I don't see him walking into the throne room on a horse and the horse pooping and people shivering in their timbers.
That's a good call. Tywin does project more direct power with the battle armor, and you're right. Otto doesn't do that quite. He does confront Rhaenyra. He puts on his armor to go confront Rhaenyra at Dragonstone. But yes, you're right that part of the character is different. Was the Winterfell scene passed over swiftly? No Sarah Snow, no Pact of Ice and Fire. Yeah, Terry, I didn't want to bring everyone down by crying about that first. But obviously, I've made a few videos about this, so I am a little disappointed that there was no Pact of Ice. Sarah Snow, I care less about. But
they
did discuss the others and the importance of everything, but
yeah.
Do you think we're going to see more Cregan at all this season, or is that it?
But there could be flashbacks. That's me grasping of like, just Jace remembering something, and then you see him talking to
Let me
Cregan.
get a poll. Are we
I
going
don't
to see Cregan again?
know.
We're going to put a poll in the chat. Have we seen Cregan again? And then we will get back to what surprised us. But like I said, these questions were just to give us some guidelines. The priority,
Yeah.
of course.
You're muted. Oh yeah, you know you're muted.
And now you're speaking double. You're
No,
echoing
you're speaking
again.
double.
If everyone will just be patient or fill the dead air, I will have things back online shortly. Thank you. The bird pulled the plug out of the microphone. The bird is
Wow.
on my knee right here. Cleo, what do you have to say for your crimes? Did you do that? Did you do that? Yes, she did. I brought my crimes hood, but I can't wear it now because Cleo will have a fit. There were crimes. We did see crimes, though, and a crime hood as well.
Yes, the long-awaited crime, the red wedding of crimes.
Oh, I'm glad I moved the chat. Look at that wall of pink Cleo emojis. That is gratifying. And so many squishers. Thank you, guys. I'll be sure to drop the Discord link. If I've been a little slacking on that, but yes, if you have just joined Squisher, you will have a Discord link under the Members tab on my YouTube channel. Click on the Members tab. I believe it's either Community or Members. I think it's Members. And that'll have the link to the Discord so you can come in and discuss sane and civil, discussion, not the other thing. So, what surprised us? Okay, that's where we were. What surprised us? Nettles, do you have one? If not, I'll come up with one. Okay, what surprised you?
It was the same thing I said yesterday. Yesterday I said I thought that Aegon, they would try to make him more sympathetic and likable. And that's exactly what they did because they watch our streams before they film.
How would you say that they did that?
They definitely made him more likable. I thought he would just be like, "Oh, I don't want to be king. I'm just gonna drink." Maybe like the Robert-esque take to being a king. Mm-hmm. But instead, you saw him. I think he was actually trying. At least he held court, and he was just saying he was saying what people wanted to hear. But sometimes that's a king's job, is to say like, "Yeah, I'll give you your flock back." That seems equal, And then there was this scene where you saw his friends that all seemed like his age. Like frat bros, like hanging out on the family yacht. Like they were just lounging on the. So I don't know. I just found that likable because I went through that phase in life where if you would have given me an important job at like 22, I would have filled every position with my snot-nosed friends.
That's a great point. I always remember you remind people like how much pressure is being put on these kids. Obviously, we have to grade them for their performance because they have so much responsibility. But yes, it's a lot of pressure. I thought that I mentioned yesterday the idea of Tyrion, that Aegon remind us of Tyrion in that he's a bad person, but he's likable because he's funny and he's skewering people that we don't like Otto. And that is exactly what we saw. It reminded me a lot of Tyrion with his kind of quirky wit. He's like a younger Tyrion in some ways. And yes, he did have a Team Small Folk shirt on, which, by the way, by next week, I will have new shirts. I don't know if it'll be a Small Folk shirt. I've got like 3 in the works. Check out our bonfire link, but I'll have new stuff next week. We will get a Team Small Folk shirt soon as well. Theory of Ice and Fire says the Pact of Ice and Fire and Nettles were the 2 parts of Fire and Blood I was excited to see, so I have to say it's a major disappointment. Just make time for Dunk and Egg. Look, A Theory of Ice and Fire, we will be first on the block for the Dunk and Egg hype. Nettles, I don't know how you feel about Dunk and Egg, but me and Tim are known enthusiasts. Oh, yeah. Okay, well then, never mind, okay? Because me and Tim have Dunk and Egg posters on our wall. It's Dunk shirtless bathing in a creek, okay?
Okay.
That's what he does. He bathes in creeks a lot.
All right. Read about I might buy that shirt. I might have to buy that.
Hey, there you go. They started filming, in all seriousness, and they 10,000 Ships is under development, which means not greenlit, but they've got a new writer than before. So we heard that it was backburnered. That was the previous writer, but I guess somebody was like, no, this is a good idea. They got a new writer attached to it. So I am very hopeful we will see it in some form. Many people are saying animated. I am hoping for live action. Go the whole
Yeah.
way. Give me Nymeria, the Moses. Give me beautiful Moses. Give it to me. Give me Sathorios. Give me 300 dragons, or at least, I don't know, 100. Make the river boil. I want to see it. Anyway, let's get back on target. Tim, you had a thought. Duncan Egg thought.
I am here for all adaptations. I feel like everything could be adapted wonderfully. George knows how to write.
I was just gonna say, like the Corliss prequel, The Adventures of the Sea Snake, and the ET show are still talks of animated. They haven't been completely dismissed, but they're also not greenlit yet. So they're in that same state of limbo.
And of course, when we're talking we're talking like Animatrix style, or what was the name of the Star Wars collection that had different styles of animation?
Je ne sais. So what surprised you, David?
Star Wars. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. What surprised me? Well, I already said how funny it was. Oh, okay. Rainey's. No, that's not it. That's not it. I haven't even thought about an answer. What
Rainey's
surprised
was
me the
putting
most?
in work.
I mean, honestly, what surprised me the most was how funny it was. So yeah, that's what I'll put.
Yeah.
I won't belabor the point because I've already talked about it, but like, I did not expect to laugh so much. The first, again, not the blood. I wasn't laughing at blood and cheese, but the first like half hour of the show, there was just so much ironic comedy of people being self-unaware and it just being hysterical. So that's what I will put. And we will then, in a second, have a poll for the chat, see what they pick. But yes, the Rainey scene was hilarious.
You were the king? Yeah.
Would that you were a king. Doesn't even need to turn around. I order you to go to king. How you doing?
And I was like, Rainey's just got back. And like in the books, it does say that she's the one every day getting up and patrolling the gullet. Do you know like how tiring that is? This isn't like a police guy in his car eating a donut, doing a stakeout. This is you straining your eyes, looking at like water, looking at monotonous
that's a great
terrain.
point. I've never thought. Think about how physical it must be to ride a horse. Like,
Yeah.
it's probably the same for a dragon. You're holding on, it's moving, there's wind. Like, hell yeah, that's tiring. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bellies needs
it's
to
one-
gorge. Yeah, great line. Thank you, Brienne's fat sister. That was awesome.
Yeah. And it's one thing if the team is doing it, but she's the only one. I'm like, how dare you ask her to do anything? Let that woman rest, Damon.
Yeah, and I like the side entrance into Dragonstone. We've never seen that. I love that addition. The little walkway to the cave. We know Rhaenyra's gonna use that when she came back, and Melis and yeah, that was sick. I again continue to love all the Dragon lore development, even if we have complaints about other things or whatever. Happy birthday, Nettles, says Catherine. Tim had me laughing for 5 minutes with the coal poll. Yeah, you and everyone else. Thanks for the great stream. So we've got Aegon the Likeable in the lead, Cleo, with 44%. Cleo, 44%, girl. That's good. Ironic comedy, 29%. The Age of Alan, 9%. Sorry, Tim. Your pick sucks.
Jeez.
Well, no, I'm kidding. And others, 18%. So what are the others? Biggest surprise. Cyrax being more beautiful than Sun. We haven't seen Sunfire good yet.
I know.
Why, Jacqueline, do we have some information that was Meraxi's skull? I've seen a couple people say that now. I didn't see a name tag on it. I will speculate all kinds of wild things that aren't true if you don't tell me which one it is. Yeah, Aegon the Likeables, definitely. And Tom's performance was, of course, incredible. That was Meraxes. Yeah, how do we know? That's all I'm asking. I believe you. I'm just saying. I missed somebody referring to it or the name tag, like I said. Eric standing up to Daemon. Yeah, that was a good scene. That was a good scene. What did we think of the return of Mysaria?
Oh, the fact.
I don't need her. Get her out of here. No,
Get her out of
I'm
here.
good.
Tim, what do you say?
them toning down the fake accent was a welcome change. That she doesn't sound like she has a mouthful of syrup, and we can really understand what the hell she's saying. Like, yeah, I
Not a
understand.
mouthful of syrup.
Pepperoni with a Dunkin' egg theory. Uthor Underleaf is Littlefinger's grandfather. I'll have to think about that, if that makes sense or not. I saw some compare Aegon's likability to Malcolm McDowell in Clockwork Orange. Yep, I can see that. It's going to be probably more so the next episode when we get a bit of the ultraviolence. No, Meraxi's skull, Cheryl Baxter. Like, as in, the one that was shot down in Dorne.
No, yeah, we didn't need
I still
the
haven't seen
warm-
an answer, though, as to how we know. In the audio description, David Lightbringer. Thank you, Moni G. Okay, so it's Meraxes' skull. I guess that makes sense. We've got Balerian's skull. Vagar's alive. Why not Meraxes' skull? So there it is. Susie's feels bad for calling me out for miss. It's okay. Been waiting for the stream all day. No, thank you. We're all excited. And yeah, no, I know how it is. I put in super chats in other people's streams. So this is the new feature they have that allows me to go back and see them all. We shouldn't miss too many. So, and of course, we've also got mods. All you have to do is just mention in the chat if I missed you, and one of the mods will repeat the question. So, how's our poll doing? Aegon the Likeable wins the poll, 46. Ironic Comedy, 26. That's pretty good. I feel good about that. Age of Alan, and then other 18%. So that one goes to Tim. I mean, no. Girl Nettles.
I am
again.
Tim.
Yeah, Girl Nettles is winning all of these. Okay, so let's see.
Being a pretty one.
So we've already given a lot of hot takes. Do we have a specifically? Oh God, Nettles, do you have a contrarian take for me by any chance? Another
I guess it's gonna be hot take for me just because I didn't like Damon. I didn't like Damon this episode. His conversation with Eric. Calm down, Damon. You do not have to slander people that cross the Blackwater. The Blackwater that took Stannis' dad.
He almost okay. If we're gonna read, I'll try to say this without getting demonetized. If we're gonna read Helena as autistic, I read Damon as somebody with a certain kind of a substance abuse habit that has has the behavior like always kind of tightly strung and a little bit angry. Like pick your substance of choice, but he's just always wants to mess something up, and that's just what they're giving us. So I don't know,
It
but
was
yeah,
not an excuse. No, stop
so
it.
Nettles doesn't like
Right.
Damon. Grey Waste Tim. Hot take. What is it?
Hot take. I'm not sure if I really have one.
This section needs to go. It's trouble. We're giving enough takes. Forget it. Forget the hot
Yeah.
takes. It would seem like a good idea. It's not really working.
Maybe we can take it for like the bad. That could be like the bad banana, like the loser of the week.
Yeah, loser of the week is the one we wanted to add, and yeah, so we'll make that loser of the week because that does sound like fun.
Yeah.
But let's do
But
who
I mean,
won the episode, which is actually let's do super chats and then we'll do this next one here. So real quick, there was a couple, so we'll go back.
Tim, write down what you wanted to say.
Yeah. I know, like I was gonna say, like I agree with you. Like Damon did seem a bit petulant this episode, but I also understand he's frustrated and he's wound up and he's having these like, why is everyone dumb but me? Like ideas, which again, like I think we all have those moments where you're frustrated with everyone around you, and even though you are in the wrong, you can't see that because you're in the wrong, but in a lot of ways you're also in the right.
Well, notice that both him and Aemond want to do the same thing strategically. We need to get to the Riverlands, put a toehold in the Riverlands, take Harrenhal. They're both seeing the same empty spot on the playing field. So sharp eyes will notice that and assume that they are probably both right. And it's kind of like if anybody knows the story of Gettysburg, there's high ground that should be taken. And the South gets there early, but for some reason, they don't take the high ground. There's issues with their scouts and stuff. And so the Union shows up late, but they take the high ground, and the South basically loses because of that. So it's kind of like both Aemond and Daemon are seeing this high ground, this strategic point on the board, and it's empty. And they're like, we need to take it. Go there now. And even though Allison is right, like, well, we need Vhagar to protect the city, or else they'll take the city. And they're playing this game the whole war. It's like, oh, we need the dragons to protect our base, but we need to attack. But yes, they both are seeing the same thing, which makes me think they probably have a point. So, let's see here. Do you think they changed the death of Aegon's son from how it was in the books because it was too much like the scene in Sophie's Choice? I don't know Sophie's Choice. Does anybody know that?
I've never seen it. I've heard of it, I think, but I don't know. I don't think it's that popular.
Iconic Monday, right? It's as you might assume. It is apparently. I am being informed, an iconic movie where the mother has to choose which of her children is going to die, and so they sort of did that with the like, which one is the boy and which one is the girl. But to me, that was confusing, and they should have just kept it like it was. It would have made more sense. But we've already said that, so. Aegon is not likable, Warham Saltsmoke says. Come on, he was about to make Tyland give Jaehaerys a horsey ride. No, look, Tyland takes himself too seriously. He needs to give the kid. That would have done him some good, so I disagree. But that's a valid take. In all seriousness.
That was one bad thing.
Well, in all seriousness, that's no way to run a meeting. Obviously, they're talking about war, and he's like, look at my grandson, give him a pony ride. Yes, he's being a bad king, but it's still funny. So,
yeah.
Happy birthday, Nettles. Hot take, Allison is going to be pregnant with Cole's baby. Well, some people are wondering if Daeron is going to show up with Dornish looks or whatever. So we'll see.
Well.
So who won the episode? Acting question, Grey-Waist Tim. Take it away.
It seemed like that was the entire point of that scene. It's because when Jaehaerys is just being a little kid doing little kid things. But it's the fact that Aegon is so enamored with it and allowing it to happen and being like, oh yeah, look how cute my kid is. That's more important than everything else that's going on. And then what we get the contrast is then when Jaehaerys is finally taken out and Aegon's like, okay, fine, take the kid out, let's get down to business. But then he sits back, he huffs, he rolls the ball like a top. It's showing that Aegon is no different than this 6-year-old kid. Like, that seemed to be the entire point of the scene.
Yeah, and it gets back to the whole thing where it's like we're putting children in positions of power. They're using him as a puppet king, essentially, but then he is now king. Yeah, those are all good points. So, Tim, it's so funny. You're a funny guy, Tim. Who won the episode, acting-wise? I'll go to Nettles first.
I'll go Otto just because, acting is making, it's not like, oh, I wrote this great character. Acting is making the audience feel the feelings that you want them to feel. And, the Otto actor, whatever his name is.
Rhys Ifans, I believe it is pronounced.
Rhys Ifans, he just hits the nail on the head with exactly what Otto is supposed to be. And I'm thinking of that scene, of that Aegon scene where he's slowly walking to the throne. He's like, sir, I need to inform you of this thing that you don't know. And then he goes back and he comes. It's just perfect. So
he's great. Otto is great. Rhys Ifans is awesome. So Grey-Waist Tim, go ahead. There's some obvious picks here, but go ahead. Which one do you want to take?
I'm going with Tom because he gave us a whole different array of different things when he was Aegon. He being petulant, but being a goofball, being firm, being drunk, being cocky, being he ran the whole gambit of emotions throughout the entire episode.
There you go. And I will go with Rhaenyra. I'll go with Emma's Rhaenyra. And these are three of the obvious picks. Tom's Aegon, Emma's Rhaenyra, and Otto, always a good choice. So that'll make a good poll question.
But what's funny?
We'll use the character names for simplicity, but we're talking about the acting performance. Just to be clear, that's what we're voting on.
Someone just mentioned Little Nicky, and that reminded me. Why was Otto wearing that black fur? Like, and that was the same thing he wore in Little Nicky.
Maybe that's
The
like a
robe
little
with the
covert.
black trim. I was like, what? First of all, in the world of Ice and Fire, we have not seen any coats like that with like that Party City black fur trim that goes around. I'm like, what is he wearing?
So we got a couple of scenes today showing things that happen in a castle that we don't usually see. We heard Aegon holding court with the small folk, and we got to see what was the other thing? Besides the affair. I was not talking about the affair. Oh well, forget it. Anyways, what was it? No, damn it. What
Things
was
we
it?
don't usually see in the castles.
It's the
Lowborn
thing you
people
were just
walking
talking
around.
about.
I was just talking about Little Nicky
And Otto's
and
clothes.
Otto. Yeah, but before that, Otto.
Sorry, I have ADHD. It's
Yeah.
out of my
Oh
brain.
well.
Let's let it go.
If it's meant to be, it'll come back.
So we've got on the poll, Rhaenyra. Yeah, Emma's Rhaenyra, as I expected, is winning 49. No matter how funny Otto and Aegon are,
Yeah.
and the grief and Emma's portrayal of it was probably the most moving. So
Yeah.
that is not surprising. Although Aegon with a strong showing as well. Lots to enjoy. Rhaenyra had like 2 lines, guys. Come on. It's not about lines. It's about what she portrayed.
Yeah. Acting. And this is our opinions.
Also true. Yeah. Well, like I said, if you want to vote for other, just, mention who you think you liked the best. Rat trapping. Yeah, you never see them talk about rat trapping. What was the name of Alicent's mother? I don't know that they've said it.
Allery Florent.
Okay. There you go.
She said it when she was lighting the candle.
Oh, I see. Oh, gotcha. Oh, I should watch these bloody things with the subtitles on. Some of this dialogue is like,
Oh yeah, you have to.
yeah, I forgot. I almost didn't have my account connected. It was giving me anyways, we'll not talk
I was
about
like,
it.
Allery Florent, isn't that the same mom of Stannis' wife? I was like, maybe it's not Allery.
Stannis'
anyway.
mother was a Florent.
No, Stannis'
No,
mother's
no,
not.
Stannis'
His
wife.
wife is. His wife is.
It is
Sophie
wife.
Florent.
You're right.
His
Okay,
wife's
so
mom. Whatever.
honorable mention
But,
goes to Jace. Yes, I thank you guys for calling out Jace. Harry did a great job, especially, like I said, that scene where he was trying to report back to his mom and he's cracking up. It really made me think about the whole flight home. That's a long, lonely flight. Thinking about your brother's dead, no one to talk, just like silence. Like this would be the car ride with no music, if it was a car
Yeah.
ride. Just damn. So he killed it with his only had a couple lines again, but portrayed the emotion very well. So honorable mention.
And I
That
feel
was
like
good.
Luke was the favorite. If that was my family, if I was Rhaenyra, Luke would be my favorite son. Sorry.
He's the younger brother.
would.
He's cute. They cast a cute actor. Yeah, I mean that's
He's
a cute kid.
He's thoughtful and he's ferocious. He did take Aemon's eye. Guess he did. Yes, he did take it. So what? Like so.
Well, how about Alicent defending Aemon to be like, well, what Aemon did was vicious, but Luke took his eye and Luke was never punished. I like how Alicent is still holding on to that and like standing up for her bad son. This is another typical performative religious person behavior. I think they're just nailing this. Anybody who says that Alicent is not well characterized, I'm sorry. I know this person.
Perfect. I'm gonna start liking Alicent now. So now that she's porking Cole, listen, that's my girl.
You just don't like high horses. That's it. Come down off your high horse, huh?
You come on the muck with the rest of us. You are not better than us.
I feel that. And by the way, we've had about 1,400 people watching steady the whole time. So thank you very much. We know you do have other good options out there. So we're happy to see y'all. And we're trying to do our best, again, to cover the whole spectrum of opinions and give you guys a chance to get heard here with these polls. So we will end this poll performance of the week. It goes to Rhaenyra with Aegon a good second. Yeah, is this the last we see of Cregan? I really would like to know. What do you guys think? In fact, we'll do this one.
So this goes to like what Rhaenys had said when Daemon was being petulant, and Rhaenys had said like, when I lost my daughter, it wasn't until that I buried her. I was in grief for weeks, and it wasn't until I buried her that I finally got the closure. And now that Rhaenyra she's never really going to get that because all she finds is the wing. But now that she's had that, and then the only moment she has with Jace is when Jace comes home and he has those few words and he breaks. But it is possible that now that Rhaenyra has buried what she could of Luke and can now shift focus and start focusing on the war the way that Daemon wants her to, then we might get more of Jace giving more specifics of what went down in his time up north, and then we might have a flashback to to his time up there. And
this sounds like me after the Night King and Bran were destroyed, and I'm like, they're in the Weirwood Net battling, and Night King's gonna pop back out in episode 4, and like, no, I don't think so. I don't know, Tim. I can't get my hopes up. We'll see what the chat thinks. Side Trigger was thinking of the exact same thing. How's this poll going? Okay. I got to figure out how to turn this chat summary thing off. This is dreadful.
It's so dystopian.
It's very dystopian. Will we see Cregan again? Yes, 83. Oh man, the chat believes. Mm-hmm. You're wearing a Wolf Stark onesie. Is that correct, Nettles?
Yes, I am. I thought it'd be more Stark heavy. I got a tail.
I mean, it was a pretty good start with it. If that's all we see all season, it wasn't very much, but that was good.
Yes, roar.
So the chat thinks so. I want to believe too. I guess I'm allowing myself to become pessimistic in my old age, but yeah, let's say we'll see Cregan again. Don't stop believing.
Is this a good time for me to ask random questions? Oh no, I dipped all of my hair in my wine. Okay.
That was a moment. Yes. For that, yes. Ask a random question.
Okay. Helena did not seem surprised to see Alicent porking Cole. Do you think that was just like, oh, I'm shocked because my child just died? Or do you think it's like, I know things?
That could be either. And she reads people well too.
Choose one.
It could be either. Oh man.
Just for fun, choose one.
What do you think, Tim?
I mean, your kid just got killed. This is not the time of like, oh no, you're naked. It's like, no, things are happening. I don't care what you're doing. Stop it. We need to focus. So that's the way I read it. It's like, I'm just going to come in here because I need anything now.
I'm going to say that, yeah, she didn't know, and she's in shock. She doesn't have time to address it right then, obviously.
She doesn't have time for these like pleasantries or whatever that we have time for. A kid just died. It does not matter that two people are having sex. She's trying to get to a room with other people where she feels safe.
And again, like, some people are like, oh, it's a little tacky or whatever, that they're like, oh yeah, they were banging while it happened. It's just like, you have to understand, with all of the storytelling they're doing, it's a little bit of condensed time. They're giving you scenes that represent stuff that's happening over a course of time. They have an affair. It's been running for a while. We get 2 glimpses of it. Of course, it's going to be on the night that it happens. They're trying to highlight the tension that, like, if you have a ton of duty because you're king or queen or king's mother or any of that, anytime you indulge in, personal desires that are not of good judgment, like, you could pay this price. And so, yeah. And it's like, yeah, of course, it makes you think of all of her castigation of Rhaenyra over her impropriety when she was younger, and she's going to be now needing to be taking a lot more baths after this and lighting a lot more candles.
You guys call me mushroom, so I have the mushroom take. I think Helena knew. I think I don't want to make her this like, oh, spooky witch person. She can hear through walls or something, but either through observation, just rational observation, or maybe something magical. I think she knows, because the way she walked into that room, there was no like. It's like she was coming to the room that she knew was guaranteed to have a king's guard and her mother, who's all knowing, which would be the safest haven.
I could
It's like,
believe that she had already intuited it. I could believe that. In that scene, go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say I can believe that, but I also think it's irrelevant because a kid just died, and that's the more important.
I agree
matter
with that. I agree with that
than
too.
your
So we'll
mom
have to
having
see.
kids
Yeah.
right now.
Cleansium. Yes, we did mention
The-
Hugh Hammer briefly. Sorry, Nettles. Go ahead.
no, that's it. I know. Well, actually, no. I was Tim. I was gonna say if that was Allison, who had just walked in and Rhaenyra was banging Kristen Cole and she saw it, no matter what tragedy was happening, she would admonish Rhaenyra and be like, she'd be like, she would be like,
Can I get that?
Rhaenyra, how could you put yourself in this position? By the way, your dad just died, but how could you be banging?
With your decency.
I'm just saying there are certain types of people who can do both. They could be shocked at their mom doing something and then still relay, whatever just happened.
Well,
I don't know.
Ian with the super chat says that Helena was absolutely fire. The story didn't feel as wild as the book, but the actress is going somewhere, I swear. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to, because okay, so I have said the interesting thing to do with Helena is to have people start listening to her, because everyone's just like, what are you talking about so far? That's all she's gotten. But now that Aegon, he might think back to that moment when she was like the rats and blah, 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 blah. Because we know from the previews that they catch at least one of these two guys. I think probably the rat catcher. And Aegon's down in the dungeon beating the hell out of him or whatever. So it's like, do you think maybe he'll start listening to Helena?
I want them to. We talked about this before in some previous streams where like she could grow into her power, or she could wither and go away and sink into her madness. If she chooses to grow into her power, she could be the ones calling the shots.
Is Cregan a big guy, or was Ice a little small? I think Cregan's a big guy. And then still, the sword looked pretty big on his back. And he was taller than Jace. And Jace isn't short. And then a comment on the Dragon Lore buildup. I loved that Cregan mentioned that both. Yeah, I really liked the mention of Silverwing and Vermithor not being able to fly past the wall. That gave me something. We didn't get it. We'll just have to wait. Because Jace hasn't even been told that we have seen about the prophecy. It has not. Rhaenyra has not had time to deal with it. She's got a lot going on. There's a war, and her kid just died. So I'm sure they'll get to it. All right, let me go back to the chats.
It seemed weird that it was news to Jace. I would think that if I was Jaehaerys and Alysanne and I went to the wall and my dragons couldn't fly somewhere in the world, I would come back. I wouldn't tell the world, because that's telling them we have a weakness. But I would tell my kids and descendants that, like, hey, guys, we can't go beyond the wall. The same way I'm teaching them Dracarys, I would teach them that, like, for some reason we can't go beyond the wall. That seems to be lost.
I'm sorry, say that again?
That lore seems to be lost among like the Targaryens that are in King's Landing now. That they can't go beyond the wall.
Yeah, that's so it was interesting that the flow of information was going the other way. Instead of Jace explaining things, it was actually Cregan who's very mindful of the White Walkers. So this is why I'm saying if there's another communication and Jace or Rhaenyra, Jace finds out about the prophecy or Cregan talks to Rhaenyra, then it seems like this is a guy that would believe. So yeah, it's weird that they didn't happen when they built up the damn prophecy knife so much on the show. I really don't know why they didn't use it.
Yeah, the thing that
they could be saving it.
For me,
I guess I get a lot to do this episode, so
yeah,
we'll see. One handmaid that heard Helena talk about the rats also heard Cheese say "for the rats" when he walked in. Yeah, they're gonna catch. I think they're gonna catch Cheese. They're definitely catching one of them, and he's gonna expose the other one and Daemon and all that. So it's all gonna come out. This is just gonna. So one thing I was saying about this war is that it is not so much a war as a series of revenge killings. And this is the thing about duty versus passion. If you're fighting a war, you should be making these decisions strategically. But many of these characters, including Aegon and Rhaenyra, they are acting out of vengeance, and that is governing their decision making. And that's not really the best way to run a war. But that's the nature of this war. It's very personal. They're family members, and the dragon riders are the kings and princes, so they can't just stay in the throne room. They have to be involved. This is why this is kind of like, and I saw somebody talking about, George's stories and questioning whether or not they need to be adapted because of the level of violence and stuff. Like he's trying to portray, and the way that I would say that what he's doing is that if you're going to write about war and stuff, you kind of have to include all of it. You can't sanitize the ickiest parts and just show the glorious battlefield. That's not a realistic depiction of what's going on. So this is a blood feud. Thank you. Yes. And right in the books, it says this is a war fought with lies and poison and knives as much as it was dragons. And so that's the story. It's very personal and very violent, and it's not for everyone, probably. Yeah.
Not for everyone. Yeah.
Sir Arik even says, like, when Daemon is giving him the same kind of a verbal beatdown that he was trying to give Rhaenys, Arik says, like, well, our duty is to protect the royal family as a whole. What do we do when the family is fighting amongst themselves? And it's like, yeah, because a house divided can't stand. That's the line, and it's true. What do you do? Like, and it goes to like what JB said. Like, well, all the oaths you take, they make you swear and swear. Well, what about when one flies in the face of the other? What do you do?
Yeah, they're really doing well with the Cargills. They're giving him some interesting lines. The feud, the difference in their view over Aegon, or whether or not they should prop him up. These were characters that there's only one thing we know about them. It's coming in the future, so we won't say it's a spoiler. But it's just like, yeah, we only hear about this one event. So they're doing a good job of reverse engineering these characters so these things will be meaningful. Same as with Baela. Like I said in the Baela video, we only have a couple of things we know about Baela towards the end of the war, but they're very interesting. And so they've said, well, what kind of person does something so brave? And then they've reverse engineered the character. Although no speaking lines for Baela this week. She was beautiful. She was there.
Yeah, Baela and Rhaena were there. Yeah.
We saw Rhaena's reaction at the funeral. She's obviously, that was her husband to be. Let's not forget. And so they lingered on her face and showed us that, yeah, she's obviously torn up about this. We know we're going to see some Rhaena this year. They mentioned Jane Arryn. The trailers and the scuttlebutt is that, yeah, she'll be in the Vale, just like in the books. So we will see Jane Arryn and Rhaena, and we will get to hear about how she feels about all this in the future. But we at least saw that reaction. So
yeah. Another thing that's true to life that they're doing is that civil war, a difference between civil wars versus a war between nation states, is that civil wars do tend to have more atrocities committed in them than wars between nation states. And it's because civil wars are more personal. In another war, you can try and otherize your enemy, but when it's civil war and there's more personal beef at stake, it tends to allow for more heinous actions to be committed, and that's definitely something that's we're going to see in the future.
That's deep, Tim.
That's why we have Grey Waste, Tim. He's deep like the Grey Waste, like the dry deep.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Helena pulled a switcheroo, Ice and Fire style?
Why would she come back and say they killed the boy then?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't think so. I do think there are some questions, though, about that scene that we might get more clarity to next episode as far as Helena and what she was thinking and what happened. But yeah, we'll have to see. And then the Maelor thing, there's nothing to say about Maelor. Except for that he's not there yet. So I don't know that that's been confirmed that he's not or is going to be. Maybe Allison, or not Allison, I'm sorry, maybe Helena will be pregnant. I don't know. We will just have to see, folks.
Yeah.
Tim, what do you think? Do you think Helena pulled a switcheroo? Only
No,
because they lingered on it.
No, because I watched the scenes for the upcoming episode and
Oh,
hearing Aegon in his reaction. Did you watch the scenes for the next
no,
episode? No.
no.
What about you, Dave?
A couple minutes of it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, to hear the way that Aegon says, "I'll kill them all," it's like, yeah, no, that was Jaehaerys, that was his heir. As for the mailer, though, someone in the chat said that Ryan Condal said in an interview that mailer was cut for time, but that just goes back to what I said. Like, the things that they cut for time bewilder me, because it's like, you mean to say that in that scene when Aegon comes in, that they couldn't just have like one of the handmaidens just like bouncing a toddler on their knee? They didn't have to say anything or even just acknowledge him. Just have him in there. Just have him in the scene so that we know he exists. That's literally all you have to do.
One person
never makes sense.
Somebody's saying that Condal's confirmed it. Does anyone know if that's true? I don't want to spread rumors until we're
Confirm what?
It. But that Mailer's not going to be on the show.
Oh.
I'm not sure. So then, what was I going to say? We were doing pretty well with my brain functioning here. I've only forgotten a couple of things. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and ask everyone who's winning the war. This was 50-50. All of us are pretty divided on it, and the chat was, I think, gave the edge to Team Black, 53-46 or something like that. And the deciding factor was them having dragons, more dragons on Dragonstone. So let's go ahead and ask Nettles, who do you think is winning the war? You answered Team Green last time. Have you changed your opinion?
Yeah, I'm voting for Team Black this time, because if we're just going by where the episode ends, they've just gotten a big blow, which is blood and cheese. And it's not just, oh, I've lost my son. It's like, my castle's been infiltrated. The place where I lay my head at night is not safe. And that's what I think is giving the Blacks like the edge, which is like, if it's, I don't know anything about sports, but if it's like offense and defense or whatever, like now the Blacks just did an offense thing.
You just pulled a I am but a girl and I know little of the ways of war, but I think they just did an offense thing. No, they did. It's going to sow paranoia and mistrust in the Red Keep. And they have a young king, so that now he's going to be more rash. You could look at it that way. We've seen from the episode preview that Rhaenyra is reacting more the way that I would, which is like, great, you've made me the queen of that. So that'll help me win people to our cause. The reputation matters too. So you are going with Team Black. Greyways, Tim, who would you say is winning the war now? You answered Team Black last time. Yeah,
this time I'm actually going to say no one. Daemon is impatient. Rhaenyra is in grief and mourning. Aegon is unfocused. Like, everyone's just in such a state of turmoil and chaos.
Pick one. Pick one.
I'm saying no one.
Well,
they're at a stalemate at the moment.
Okay, I'll allow it. I'll allow it, because I think that's a valid answer too. If you're assessing, something, it can be tied.
It's hard.
Stalemate. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna say that Team Black is winning because of the incredible amount of chaos that we see on Team Green. That is a stewing cauldron of trouble with Laurys and Otto and Allison and Kristen and Aemond and Aegon. They are even more at odds than I imagined already. That is like 6 people trying to row a boat in different directions. So I'm not like, that makes like, if having the inside look, like, I mean, obviously there's some instability between Daemon and Rhaenys and Rhaenyra, but I just don't think it compares to what's going on there. So I will say Team Black. How's the poll doing? Team Black, 74%. Although I do want to highlight that there is a political cost to being perceived to committing atrocities. And this is part of why Rhaenys didn't nuke everyone on stage Although, yes, she did kill a bunch of small folk. Yes, that is also true. And I don't feel like they've addressed that. I wish somebody had mentioned that. It's kind of like we're just left to notice that she doesn't think anything of stomping down small folk to pull a dramatic escape. But yeah, it is there. You having fun,
I
girl?
think that's accurate though, because I think part of the when I was watching the show, it drove home the point that like it's great if you have a dragon, but if you don't have a dragon, these are terrible times to live. Like imagine like we have the comfort of walking through our streets. We never have to look up. These people always have to look up. We saw that scene where they were like, a dragon, a dragon. Everyone has to have like it's like in school when we had fire drills. These people
Yeah.
have dragon drills
So
every
I was
day.
pointing out that the battle commanders should be able to recognize what dragon is what on sight from a distance, but those were fishermen on the shore, so yeah, they just freaked out.
Yeah.
Freak out. So Black wins his poll 75-25. Great question from the chat. Or super chat rap. Oh gosh. No, stop. There we go. The loyalty of the clubfoot might be called into question now that he's in charge of the staff and his servant just killed the heir to the throne. That's true. Like I said, this is going to create all kinds of paranoia and suspicion. And yeah, Laurie's is pretty good at escaping blame for stuff, but sooner or later.
Yeah. Wait, I think we skipped over the Massaria question. I mean, I said I didn't want her. That I felt like she was unnecessary, but I don't think you guys had a chance to say anything, did you?
Um,
Because that question said servant, and it's like Massaria kind of propelled this whole thing to happen.
I reserving their ability to fill in more detail in the future. I'm a little disappointed about the cutaways. It's like we see that Damon gets Mysaria to help him with the planning, but I guess we can fill it in. She gave him the name of Cheese, who's the rat catcher who knows the back ways. That's what she gave him. And so he went to King's Landing. He knew Blood. Blood was his right-hand man in the City Watch, so we know that connection. So I guess that all makes sense. Well, no, she did drive the plot. That's the only thing she did is drive the plot, essentially. She showed up and gave Damon the ability to pull off this plot. That was her whole thing. So she did drive the plot. So that was that poll. Who's winning the war? Small Folks says Team Black. But yeah, everyone is also losing in another sense. Cool. Well, we are almost at 2 hours and we are through our sections. And I will ask our panelists if we have any other things that we did not cover and you'd like to mention. And I will also put it to the chat for final questions. Tim?
I have one thing.
Nettles?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Nettles.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
I have one thing, and it's just one of the super chats that had mentioned how Kristen Cole and Alicent bond over their combined hatred for Rhaenyra. And I just wanted just to expound more on that, just because like that's just the type of stuff I like to bite my teeth into. It's almost like mean. It's hey, I am what I am. It's almost like Mean Girls, because it's like we hate the same person, now we're besties type of thing. But I think it's even deeper, something more of like a succubus vibe that comes from Rhaenyra and many dragon riders, which is like once you go dragon, you never go back. Like when you think about Game of Thrones, when oh my gosh, what's the guy that likes Dany in the books? He has a blue beard. Dario. When you think about Dario, when Dario's looking at Dany, he's like, what's next after you? Like, what do you mean you're gonna leave me? Like, no girl is ever gonna compare to you. And I think that's the same thing that Alicent and Kristen are left with, which like Kristen actually tasted the goodies. So it's like you've had that dragon blood. What else is gonna compare? Nothing ever will. And then Alicent, I do choose to see these characters in the show as bi, Alicent and Rhaenyra. I do think that their love for each other went beyond just platonic friendship, and it was something of like, for Alicent, the first time feeling safe, and that's kind of what drives her infatuation with Rhaenyra. And so, like, yeah, I feel like it's these two people who are pulled towards Rhaenyra's succubus dragon blood. And because they can't have her, that thin line between love and hate becomes this like obsession. And it even drives their attraction to each other. Because I've seen this happen in real life between my own friend groups like 3 times, where like exes of exes will get together because they're trying to like prove to this person, oh, look, I got your person. Look at me. I'm with, and that's what their entire relationship is based on, is just like,
And I'll just
but
point
yeah.
out that I think really close friendships can work the same way in terms of jealousy and love turning to hate, possessiveness, a lot of those same qualities, disloyalty, feelings of betrayal. And with Allison and Rhaenyra, it's definitely all swirled up in there. We know the actors have talked about using that angle to inform their performances. So people that see that angle on the story, it's not directly implied, but it's definitely a valid reading. Some would argue that it is implied, but yeah, it's definitely a way to read the connection. And whatever you want to characterize it, repressed something or just a very intimate friendship, it was a very intimate friendship and still affects both characters to this day. That is clear. So somebody's pointing out Rickard Thorne was cast. And so Maelor, his role, without spoiling, has something to do with Rickard Thorne. So that's why I say maybe
Who's Rickard Thorne?
another Kingsguard.
Oh.
The one
I
that
thought
does
was
something with
the
Maelor.
actor's name.
Yeah,
Oh.
there,
Oh my God.
there would be no point to Rickard Thorne if Maelor wasn't here. Is the
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Again, there's just not much we can say until we see what happens. It's so far down the road. In the first season, the opening scene with the family, we see Aegon and Helena's children, and there's a baby. Oh.
So more Maelor.
I'd have to
Maelor
go back
evidence.
and look, Cheryl. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. The loyalty of the Okay, we read that one. And somebody said there was a super chat about the George rumors, asking about the George rumors. I appreciate George. No. Must have been way back. No, I mean, Quinn, the GM, made a video. Michael Talks About Stuff made a video. There are rumors. I've done this many times. I am cautiously optimistic. I just don't have anything really to say about it, other than when Winds comes out, I'll have lots to say. So he's got to finish sometime. That's what I said. It's got to happen sooner or later. So yeah,
But that's all I
it
have.
is a weird kind of love triangle, certainly, with Rhaenyra and Kristen and Allison. Like, they're working that angle, however you want to characterize the various relationships.
Yeah. Well, like that saying they tell you in sex ed, like, when you have sex with someone unprotected, you're having sex with everyone that they ever been with. And Allison might be
Okay.
looking at Cole like, well, then by having sex with you, then that means I'm having sex with Rhaenyra. Yes, it all makes sense. Perfect.
Hey, some people think like that.
So the Allison Kristen thing, I believe that is somewhat of a rumor in the books, but nothing in the books is nailed down. So
No.
it explains a lot. It's something a lot of people think.
Yeah. It says a lot about Kristen that he only respects women that he's
No, George
had.
is not using AI to finish the book, and you didn't hear that either. That was a joke somebody made. I promise
Oh
you.
wow.
They say that Kristen was like her shadow, always with her in the books. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said, yeah.
Yeah. It's like Jorah, but except Jorah never tastes the cookies, so Jorah can be a loyal servant. But Kristen, as soon as he tastes the cookies, he goes crazy. He can't be good at his job.
Oh, so I know what I haven't mentioned. The tapestry at the beginning. I believe the first scene was Azor Ahai and Nissa Nissa. It went quickly, and I need to go back and look, but it looked like a woman and a sword, and it looked like the Azor Ahai Nissa Nissa story. That would make sense as a beginning of Valyrian history, since they're talking about the prince that was promised and all that stuff. And then obviously we saw the Doom, we saw the Conqueror's dragons, we saw Torrhen kneeling. We'll have to take it apart, but yeah, I think. And let me know, did anyone else think that was Azor and Nissa Nissa on the first one?
I didn't catch it, but I wish that I had.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
What do you think about Helena choosing her son? That part was not clear to me, like which one she pointed at, or whether she was telling the truth or not. I just want to watch it again to try to figure out what was going on there. So she
Ooh,
didn't lie. She pointed out her son instead of trying to trick him, or what was the? How did you read that?
Yeah, because since without Maylor in the scene, they're not asking which son, they're asking which one is the boy. But she points at Jaehaerys right away. She doesn't try any kind of switcheroo. She doesn't try to like point at the daughter and make them think that, like, even Blood even says like she wouldn't give him up that easily. But then she's just like, no, she's telling the truth of it. That's the boy. So people are questioning like, why did she point to him? Like she answered them truthfully right away. And I think it's like, well, she probably saw there was nothing really to like. If she's having these prophetic dreams, she might have just saw this as inevitable.
That's okay. So I agree with XGN and mentioning Fia Saban said in the interview that she kind of checked out and went deep into her, so she might have been a mindless reflex. I think she was in shock.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And that's what they were trying to portray is like, yeah, I've never been in that kind of a situation. One time, I will say, I'm not someone who gets in a lot of fights. I don't look like the type. I'm not the type.
You're a lover, not a fighter?
Yeah, I just, I usually just choose to walk away if that energy is happening. I'm like, yeah, it's not worth it. But one time I got jumped at a party randomly because I was being a little too obvious carrying a backpack around that had a mild amount of like a pipe. And I mean, it was a really dumb reason to jump someone at a party. But it was when I was very young. I was like 19, 20, something like that, I think. And the point of the story is like the person saw me go into the bathroom with my backpack and waited for me around the corner. And so when I walked out, they hit me on the side of the head, not even that hard. Like it was like the wimpy little teenager punch. And he hit me a couple times and wrestled the backpack off of me. I didn't really get like a punch back in because I was just so surprised by what was happening that I was just like, what the? And then it was over. And then it was just like, what? These people just stood around and watched it happen. And what happened to me? And it was just like, wow, the next time it happens, I'll be ready, I felt like. But it had never happened to me. It had just never crossed my mind to be ready for that kind of thing. I was, probably should have been carrying a backpack around at a party, but, I was young and dumb. So how much more likely if you're sitting in a room late at night with your kids and suddenly someone's got a knife at your throat? Like, yeah, I buy that you just go into shock and don't know what to do. So
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I guess
it's a long story. I'm okay. I wasn't really hurt. It was just surprising. That's all. Go ahead.
This was David Lightbringer lore.
Yeah, we're 2 hours in, so.
Yeah, well now I do have a hot take, okay? So I guess my hot take for this is if you're trying to passenger seat psychoanalyze a mother in this kind of atrocious situation, you have too much time on your hands. That's my hot take for the week.
Well, I think people are mostly just trying to figure out what they were trying to portray. And I think that's what they're portraying is that she's in shock. And yeah, there you go.
And that's fine. It's fine. You can express grief and all that in so many different ways. So that's just one take on it. So Helena did what she could. The fact that she escaped that room, like you say you're not a fighter. I'm like worse. I'm like worse than Sam Tarley. Like I'm not brave. I would have just been glued to that room like this, like, oh my God, watching them.
So I was kind of wanting her just to scream at some point so the guards would come running. I thought that it was interesting that she just kind of walked over and picked up her other kid and then walked out. Like that wasn't bad. Like that was pretty good. She escaped with her kid.
Yeah. That's more than I would do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. What I'm mostly interested in is the future portrayal of Helena now. Will people listen to her? Will she have even worse prophetic dreams? Will she kind of be unhinged and like disheveled and like, I don't know, man.
I mean, Aegon said a line. He's like, our dragons are bigger. And I'm like, no, they're not. You have one dragon that's bigger. And you have Dreamfire that has not been used. So the question with Helena is that, like, yes, if Dreamfire is being used, you guys have the two biggest dragons. You do. But the question about Helena, like, what?
Thanks for bringing that up. Actually, that's another angle on this. in the Dragons Ranked video, I had to really step around this spoiler where I was like, oh, well, Dreamfire's big, but I don't think Helena's going to fly her into battle. And I couldn't say that's because Blood and Cheese is going to happen. And after that, in the books, she's like very traumatized by it. So, yeah, Dreamfire is big. Dreamfire's like almost 100 years old. She was written by Reyna in the 50s, and that's like 80 years ago. She was grown by then. So, yeah, Dreamfire should be at least decent size. Not
Dreamfire is
Vagar,
older than Vermithor, but I think Vermithor is still bigger. But
a tiny
Dreamfire's
bit.
older
I
than
think you're
Vermithor.
right, a tiny bit. They're close though. Sheep Stealer's also in that range. So yeah, so now Helena less ready to maybe ride her dragon. I don't know if Aegon was ever counting on that. He's really counting a lot on his brother. He's bragging about his my brother could Vagar could just burn anything I want.
Yeah, he's
That was
leaning heavily
cute.
on Aemon.
That's cute though, because Aegon is in the best seat in the house, and he has a devoted little brother. Don't we all want that? To be that sure of yourself and have a good team, even if
Well,
that
it
team is
just
just
means
a little
that
brother.
Aegon is going to have to listen to Aemond here pretty soon, because it's like if you're putting all your chips on the fact that he has Vagar, it's like, well, you might want to see what he wants to do. So
Wait, what did Alicent say about her son? I remember she said that Aemon was furious. What'd you say about Aegon? Aegon, when she was talking to Otto, and she's basically saying like, I just need help with them, and when you undermine me, they don't listen.
Every time, yeah, it's hard enough. She's basically saying like, you undermine me. It's hard enough for me to get Aegon to listen to me, and if you keep doing that, then I'm gonna completely lose him. There's gonna be no
yeah,
hope.
she says he still listens in private, but like it's
In private.
dicey. Yeah.
Which she describes him as something. She says Aemon is furious, which I don't know what Aemon will be furious about.
Oh, she says he basically something to the effect of like he's just become king and he's excited about it, but we'll just wait him out and then we can sort of steer in the way we want.
He'll get bored.
Yeah.
He'll get bored. Yeah. Okay.
In her dreams, will she see Dany and Jon? Probably not, but that would be interesting if she had some sort of prophecy of ice and fire related vision, and that would just show you the tragedy. Like, if this family wasn't so divided, maybe the dreamers and the people in charge would be, talking to each other and, figuring some things out. But instead, they're killing each other, and this piece of information might be lost. So that would be cool if they did something like that.
They won't.
All right, chat. Final call for questions, and we're going to wrap it up. We're at 2 hours here, so.
This was so good.
It was, yeah. Like I said, got a couple quibbles, which we mentioned, but overall, I really enjoyed watching the episode. I'm probably going to watch it back tonight. And I just loved how funny some of these scenes were. Like, I was just dying, especially Team Green. Like, the unintentional comedy it's peak, man. It's a great addition to the show. It lightens the mood a little bit, because the shit's pretty dark.
Oh, so Summertime's asking, is it worth reading the book? Yes, it is very much worth reading Fire and Blood, because it's more than just the dance. It covers everything from Aegon the Conqueror and a couple years post-dance. So, I mean, especially if you really like history, then it's a great read. And if you want to know more, like if you want more than just dance, if you want to know about Maegor the Cruel, if you want to know about the Conqueror, if you want to know like all these other like little tidbits, like Fire and Blood's a good book to read.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree. And if you read Fire and Blood, then you can watch the streams on my channel where me and Tim went through Fire and Blood and did analysis. So in fact, we pretty much read all of the text that forms the basis for the Dance of the Dragon. So if you want a very extended edition audiobook with lots of Tim and Dave commentary interjected, it's two streams. I think it's like the source material behind House of the Dragon. It's just Fire and Blood rereads. It's from 6 months ago. Will Daron be cut from the show? Nathan popping in to the stream recently. We already talked about this. We don't know. Daron, no. We do know that. I'm sorry. I was thinking of
He's in the
Maynard.
show. He had a bloodline. Yeah,
He had a bloodline, and the actors have talked about Daron. So yes. And then Sean MacArthur, who I had on our stream with Nettles, and who does a great Tywin and Oberyn, says, if I pretend to be Team Green, will you bring me on? Are you accusing me of being Team Green? Are you saying Nettles is Team Black. I have her on, so you can come on no matter what team you are, Sean MacArthur. Tim, you said you're going to be out of town one of these weeks, right? Which is it?
Yeah, episode 5. Yeah, July 12th through the 14th, I will be in Atlantic City. So I will not be around for episode 5.
I might get Sean on before then, but Sean, there you go. Book it for week 5, buddy. So, very good. And he sent me a voice message recently with a Sir Jorah voice. That's what I get now. I just get voice messages from Sean, and it's just in character Sir Jorah talking about his inappropriate relationship with a teenager. It was really funny.
Oh my gosh.
Because, of course, Sir Jorah does have an inappropriate crush on a teenager. That is the joke. Not that it's cool, but that it's happening. Anyways.
Hey. Yeah.
You're accusing us all of being Team Black. There's no diversity. What are you talking about? We're in the high tower.
I wore a green dress yesterday. That's not fair.
Yeah, who we think is winning the war doesn't mean who we like. That's all.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did we all put black? Hey, the small folk put black, so
I mean, I'm just
we
wearing.
we literally had an option for you guys to vote. So I mean, I don't know.
I'm just kind of wearing a generic Targaryen shirt.
Well, I'm definitely curious to see about the fallout of Blood and Cheese and how Rhaenyra, like, does she see the strategic side of it at all, or is it all she's just horrified by it? Is she going to be able to put aside her grief and start thinking strategically about the war, realizing that, you know, her holding up in her emotions is part of what gave a free hand to Daemon? Like I said, she could have been involved in the planning, but she just said, I want Aemon, and walked out of the room. So
If I was Rhaenyra, I'd be mad because I'm like, I said amen, and you brought me, what is this?
yeah, and
Who is this person? I've never seen this person before.
well, I mean,
I said
I
amen.
agree. I agree with you. But she also might realize that, like, oh, I need to have my hands on the wheel here, you know. So we shall see.
I think it's smart to take a break. Like, who is it? Rhaenys that says that she is recusing herself so that she doesn't act based on emotion. And I think that's super responsible. And I wish our leaders would do this as well. That, like, when you know you're not in the emotional state, I think it is okay to remove
But
yourself.
who did she put in charge while she did that?
She has good people in charge. You have Rhaenys policing. Jace is coming back.
No, but Daemon is trying to... I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just listening.
Oh, I was just saying, you know, she didn't... her two generals are at odds. Like, Daemon and Rhaenys are her two most powerful allies, and one is trying to give orders to the other, and the other's like, piss off. So, not a clear chain of command. I do think Rhaenys is right. She's like, we should use our brains and just wait for her. She's grieving.
Yeah.
Just hold your horses. She's obviously right. But what I'm saying is that going forward, now that she has grieved and now that she hears about Blood and Cheese, will she now say, okay, I better put my hands on the wheel and steer this thing? Probably. I hope so.
We'll see.
I hope she doesn't just stay in her feelings all season, because that would be kind of...
One note.
Because that is like Daemon. Not to say Daemon's completely wrong. Like, he's ignoring the grief aspect of it, but at the same time, he has a point. He says, though, we're at war. Time is of the essence. We don't have time for you to grieve.
Yeah.
So
and that's
Daemon's being the cold rationalist in this.
Blood of the Dragon, you have to be a little bit tougher than the rest.
Well, they're both realities that are pulling on these people. They're both valid, and that's kind of the whole thing about the family civil war. Yeah, so there we go, guys. I'm going to play us out with the video again and enjoy the music. And we've been David Lightbringer and Grey Waste Tim and Girl Nettles. And their YouTube channels, again, are Grey Waste Tim and Girl Nettles. And they're linked in the description. Their names are hyperlinks. Just click right on them and you get right to their channels. So give them a follow. And we'll be back, obviously, next Sunday with a post-game, another after party. Y'all have been great. Didn't even bust up the living room too much. Of course, I'll have a video out during the week. Are either of you guys going to be making videos during the week?
No, I'm not planning on it, but I will be in the comment section. So, like, if you guys have takes, if you guys have stuff about this video or this episode on this video, I would love to chat with you guys about it.
And please do click thumbs up on the video if you've had a good time. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. All you have to do is just hit refresh as soon as the stream is over, and you'll be able to leave a comment. And if you sign up for Squisher, give me a few minutes and then look on that membership tab and you'll have an invite to the Discord where you can keep chatting with a lot of the same folks that are in the chat here. So thank you, Visenya the Conqueror, and everyone else who sent in super chats. If I missed a super chat, leave a comment. I will see it and I will answer there. So thank you very much. And here goes the music.
Wow.